Hello internet people. In this video I will be showing you how to install the CV Fabrication Titan V2 Intercooler and the CVF Aluminum Intercooler hot and cold sides piping kit. Both of these for the 2021 to 2024 Ford F150 3.5 liter EcoBoost / Raptor / PowerBoost, and we're working on a PowerBoost. While we're at it and we have the intercooler out, we're gonna install the Turbosmart V-Port EM blow-off valve that is also for the F-150s. So I'll be showing you how to install that blow-off valve in addition to the intercooler and the piping. Let's get right into it. Here are our parts unboxed. This is the big old beefy Titan V2 intercooler, and this is the piping kit here. I have it laid out in the orientation that they're going to install in. So this stuff right here is the cold side. This stuff over here is the hot side. This one in the middle is the driver's side, and this one is passenger side. So it was a little tricky to figure out the exact orientation, so I'm going to put a photo up on the screen that is labeled to help you guys out with that. The tools we're going to need for this install: a ratchet. If you have a power ratchet tool, that will be super handy for those clamps right there, save you from getting carpal tunnel. Gonna need sockets, socket extension, some silicone grease for this O-ring that goes into the cold side connection to the intercooler. That'll prevent dry rot and that O-ring from going bad on you. You're also going to need some Teflon tape. We want to use that for these plugs right here. If you're not going to use those for sensors, just back those out, put some Teflon tape on them, and put them back in to prevent any boost leaks. The socket sizes you're going to need: 8mm, 10mm, 11mm. You will need a deep socket 11mm for these clamps to get them down tight. You'll need a pick or like a small flathead or little pry dude like I have there. That's to get the factory spring clip out where that bad boy is gonna attach to the intercooler. And I think that covers it. If I missed anything, I'm gonna throw all the tools up on the screen so you can get prepared before the install. Very first step is to disconnect the negative terminal on our battery. That requires a 10mm. And then I also have this nifty little piece of silicone that I'm going to put down underneath it, just to keep it from bumping in and making connection. So let's get this off. Just get it loose enough to where you can slide it off. And I'm going to slide that silicone under there. Bada bing, bada boom. Now that we have the battery disconnected, the very first thing I'm going to do is remove this Y pipe here in the intake, and that will just open this space up a little bit because as you can see, there's not a ton of room, and these pipes are going to be a little tricky to snake down in there. So we are gonna remove these dudes right here, just to give us a little bit more room. So you just squeeze the ends of this white clip together and push it out until it clicks out, and then they pop right off. Damn, that turbo's deep in there. Now that we have the Y pipe out, you can see right here, this hot side pipe has got to snake through quite a bit of stuff to get over and across there. So we're gonna focus on this cold side first, which is that guy right there with the sensor in it, and that connects into the largest port down on the intercooler. So we're gonna get that one out of the way first, just moving our way along, loosening the clamps, taking that sensor off, and go from there. Okay, so this sensor is a Torx 27. Get that bad boy out, just like that. Pull that puppy out and move it to the side. Got another one of these pressure hoses here with the white clip. Once again, you just push the ends of that clip together and move it out at the same time. It looks like on the PowerBoost, we've also got this little dude right here that you need to detach before we'll be able to get this cold side pipe out. Next step, we are underneath the truck. This is where the cold side pipe that we just disconnected from top connects to the intercooler. This is the hot side piping here. So first thing we've got to do is remove this intercooler bracket right here by removing these two bolts, 15 millimeter. Once you get those removed, this just slides out. Down underneath the cold side pipe, we need to get this little factory spring clip out. So just using my little pry tool to get in there. Once it starts coming out, it's fairly easy. Set that aside, we will need that. Next, I need to get that clamp right up in there. Okay, so now this just pops off the intercooler and we should get it to slide off the upper portion of the pipe. Just work it a little bit. Bada boom, bada bing. Now we can get the upper portion, get the upper side of the cold pipe out. Now we've got the factory cold side pipe sitting next to our CVF aluminum pipe, and as you can see from looking at it, this is all one piece. It's nice and smooth and mandrel bent, which helps with the airflow. Anytime you have like abrupt size changes, you have the chance for flow disruptions and eddies to occur in the air. So I'm liking what I see so far. These are nice and smooth. I wanted to mention too, be careful when you're unboxing these. One of mine had a little burr on it when I opened it up, and it cut the absolute shit out of me. So be careful. Okay, so if you are only doing the piping kit, I would move to the passenger side hot pipe next, getting that pulled out. But because I'm also replacing the intercooler at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and just get underneath and detach it down there and pull the factory intercooler completely out so that we've got more room. Because we are replacing the intercooler today, we are going to go ahead and get all of the piping detached from down here. That way we can slide the intercooler out. This bottom pipe right here is for the driver's side. The top pipe is for the passenger side. So we're going to go ahead and get those loosened up, all 4 of these clamps here, so that we can work these loose. And be careful when you undo this pipe right here. As you can see, you'll get some residual oil in there, so just don't be directly underneath that. It'll drip in your eyeballs. You should be able to pop these biznatches off. If you're just doing the piping, I would just take this one out right here, leave the other one on. But I'm just gonna remove it while we're doing it because it'll make it easier for us to maneuver this intercooler out. Now, this is the blow-off valve, and so we need to detach this. I'm going to cut this zip tie right there. So I've already actually installed the blow-off valve. What this is right here is the recirc hose to the OEM blow-off valve. So we've got the old intercooler out, new intercooler sitting right next to it, and man, this thing is just a beast, really. You can tell there's quite a bit more mass to this than the OEM one. 82% more core volume in the Titan V2 than the OEM Ford intercooler. So because we've already installed the V-port Turbosmart blow-off valve, we are gonna just unbolt it off of the factory intercooler and bolt it onto the CVF intercooler. Now, something that I learned about the Turbosmart that I'm gonna do with it off, this thing has stopped working a couple of times on me, and what I've found in reading about them is to take some high temperature oil, such as sewing machine oil or hair clipper oil, and just put it down in there and work it into the valve to help lubricate it, so hopefully you don't have that problem. If you're installing the blow-off valve at the same time that you're doing all of this, what you're gonna need to do is use the recirc plug that comes with the Turbosmart blow-off valve and plug it into the hose that I just showed you, where mine is plugged in currently underneath the truck. It's pretty easy to do, but yeah, this quite impressive. I want to show the side profile of this thing. Just a beast of an intercooler. Yeah, that thing is just massive. I got the black intercooler. You do have the option when you purchase to either go with black or just aluminum, and then you have the option to purchase a stencil at the same time too, so that you can spray paint the CVF logo into the front of the intercooler. It's pretty neat. Okay, so the blow-off valve little bolt here is an 8mm, and we're not actually gonna need this one because you can see the Titan comes with its own bolt for the blow-off valve bracket. And then I'm just gonna leave the Allen bolt attached to the blow-off valve for now. But how you do this is you just twist it, you'll feel it release up, and then it just pops right out. As I'm working this up and down, I can feel that it's kind of binding just a little bit. So I'm gonna go grab the oil that I have, which is hair clipper oil, and we'll lube this bad boy up before we put it back in. Okay, so we've got our high temp hair clipper oil. So what I'm gonna do is just drop this in all around the blow-off valve and work that cylinder up and down to lube it up. If you're just installing the V-port blow-off valve, I highly recommend that you do this to avoid issues. As we get around there, that is already making a huge difference. The thing is way easier to slide up and down. I don't know if this is going to continue to be an issue in the future, but not super thrilled about it when you're expecting that blow off noise and it disappears. Nice and lubed up, so we're gonna get this bad boy installed. Kind of got a feel for the place that it starts to seat and push it in, and then twist to seat it. And there we go, she is seated. So now what we're gonna do is just work through each one of these couplings and attach the first bit of the hoses to the intercooler so we can work on getting that installed. So this has just got some residual oil in it, and I'm wiping it out because I actually like the way that these OEM ones look better than the CVF ones. These blue ones are really high quality, so I'm gonna go ahead and reuse these, install them on the new intercooler. So we've got this O-ring that needs to seat down into this groove in there. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to use some O-ring lubricant just to lube that thing up to avoid any dry rot. It's also going to help with the install, help that coupler slide right into place. Just spread that silicone grease so that this will seat nicely. So push it down onto there and you will feel that O-ring seat. This has grooves that it goes into. And once you get it lined up right, it should click into place. So just take your time and work that thing in there. Make sure that it's seated nice and snug. And this is going to be the next piece that attaches for the cold side piping. But I'm going to wait until we get underneath to install this onto there. So we got some stuff to do underneath to prep, and then we'll be ready to install the new intercooler. Back underneath the truck, a couple of things we need to talk about. First are the active grill shutters, which is this right here. We're gonna have to, you can see the upper intercooler bracket right here. We're gonna have to remove this in order to gain enough clearance for the intercooler to fit. Now, because this is a PowerBoost, we are also going to have to remove that pedestrian speaker right there. So after we get this out, we'll unbolt the pedestrian speaker and I'll talk more about that too. So this active grill has a bunch of clips around the edges, and you pretty much just have to get those unhooked in order to get this outer shroud off. And it's kind of a bear, but you just work your way around here. That is what the clips look like. And then it's got those also on the inside. So you just gotta work your way around. I am also going to be removing the active grill fins for maximum airflow. So you definitely want to leave the motor plugged in, otherwise you're going to throw some codes. So that should give us quite a bit more airflow to the intercooler. I will be relocating the front license plate eventually, just to increase the airflow that much more. So if you can see that, I've actually already got this ohm here plugged into the plug for the pedestrian speaker. That is the most obnoxious thing in the world, and one of the first things I did to the truck. So I'll make sure I get the name of this ohm into the description for you guys. Now that we have everything unhooked underneath, got the super cool pedestrian speaker taken out, we're gonna start disconnecting everything, the hot pipes. That's all we've got left. So We're gonna start with the passenger side first. That's this one here. That is underneath this turbo inlet pipe. So it comes apart into a couple different pieces. So I'm gonna just start working my way along these band clamps, undoing those, work my way back to the turbo, take it out piece by piece, and then once we get this piece out, this elbow, the rubber piece, we should be able to pull the bottom section out through the bottom. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. I'm realizing that it's probably easier to do the intercooler and these pipes, hot and cold side pipes, separate, because it's kind of a pain to get up in here with the truck up on the ramps that we have it on. So that's cool. So that bottom section pretty much wanted to just fall right out. And it is out. Okay. So there are a couple of pressure clips right here and then underneath the hot pipe that will have to pop off. Cool. So we have got the passenger side hot pipe off, and I wanted to just lay them side by side to show you guys the difference between the two. So this is the CVF passenger hot side pipe, and just comparing the two side by side, you can see the OEM has lots of different changes in diameter. This is aluminum and mandrel bent, so nice and smooth all the way along there. Same diameter, and then I like how this comes apart into separate pieces. I think it'll make it a little easier to get on. This guy right next to the turbo on the PowerBoost is kind of a pain to get to. There's not a lot of room in there, so and then I wanted to mention too, this little bolt that comes with the O-ring in the cold side hardware, that's going to be to attach the sensor that we took off over by the mass airflow. So we're going to get the driver's side hot pipe off now and then start putting this stuff on. Okay, now for the driver's side hot pipe. I think this one's going to be much easier. There was not very much room on the passenger side because you've got these components right there for the PowerBoost model, and yeah, it just makes for a lot less room. So I'm just gonna start on the hot pipe down here, start with that clamp, and just start working my way through the band clamps, pulling the pieces off, and we'll get that thing out of our way. All right, here is a look at driver's side hot pipe. The OEM one is on the right here. The new CVF one is on the left, and same thing. You can see several changes in diameter and abrupt diameter changes or bends. The CVF is all the same diameter and nice and smooth mandrel bent. So that'll give us much better airflow and less disruptions in the pressure system too. So we're gonna start putting the CVF stuff back on in the reverse order that we took it off. So driver's side, and then passenger side, and then of the hot pipes, and then the cold side to finish it off. One step I do not want to fail to mention is throwing some Teflon tape on these little sensor plugs. Make sure you do that to avoid any boost leaks. Alright, so we're gonna start with this longer piece that has the little bung on it for a sensor. We're just gonna fish that down driver's side so that I can figure out orientation of how it hooks up to the turbo. This right here, this pipe, that's roughly what that driver's side pipe should look like before you get it installed completely. I decided to wait on putting the intercooler back in just because it gives you so much more room right there to work with to fish these pipes down in there. So we're gonna put the piping in first and then the intercooler. But that's what the driver's side should look like, which connects to the bottom part of the intercooler. So now we're gonna do the passenger side. Hot pipes are in.
Sweet.
Okay, so we have the hot pipes both installed. We're back down underneath the truck. My battery died on one of the recordings, but we got the pedestrian speaker taken out. I'm gonna try to get the intercooler in while leaving this bracket because it's kind of a bitch to get out, but we'll see. I might have to take that out. This is the delete for the pedestrian speaker. It is called Mega Ohm. That's the company. I'll put a link to it in the description. But we just need to zip tie this up out of the way because it is no longer, yeah, the pedestrian speaker is no longer installed, but this needs to remain plugged in or the truck will throw a code. This guy is for the blow-off valve on the intercooler. I'm just gonna tuck it off to the side for now, like that, until we get the intercooler installed, which we are going to attempt right now. The rubber grommets on the intercooler, don't forget to take those off the stock intercooler and put them on your new one if you're also doing that project. Check her out. After some cussing and effort, a couple of little dings on the intercooler. Oops, it's finally in. So for, I don't know if it's just on the newer F-150s or if it's the ones with the, or for PowerBoost, but if you have the active grill shutters, I had to take the outer cowl on that completely off and then trim the plastic around the edge up about another inch to get this intercooler to fit in. So from here, our next step is going to be to drop in the cold pipe into place, hook everything up, tighten all of our joints, and test it out. Okay, so I went ahead, tightened the connections to the intercooler underneath, and I had loosened this one just a bit, so I'm gonna retighten it. As you're going through, just make sure that you're tightening these band clamps as you put them together. If you forget any, you're gonna find out because you'll have a boost leak. But we're pretty much tight. We just need to install cold side piping now. We're ready to test. So I'm gonna plug in this plug that we took off of the blow-off valve. Plug that bad boy back in. Get it kind of up out of the way. Now we need to get this elbow on to our cold piping. That is the very last freaking step. Hallelujah. Okay, we are done down here. Okay, so we need to reinstall the sensor in the cold side pipe right here. There we go. Click into place and then use the provided little Allen bolt to secure. Okay, so now we need to install this and these two vacuum hoses back. So just the opposite of how you took them off. The little plastic clips, make sure they are pulled out. Then slide these over and click the white thing back in. Now we need to install the Y pipe back onto there, and we'll be good to start doing some testing. Some of the aftermarket, I have the Roush, but I've seen that some of them have the air sensor on the Y pipe. So if yours does, then I didn't need to disconnect mine, but you might. Once you have everything tight, good to reconnect the negative terminal on the battery, fire it up and see what it does. So, good idea to run through all of your various connections and just make sure they're all tight before you fire it up. We've already done that, so we're gonna go ahead and fire it up, let it idle for a few minutes, and see what we can see. So everything appears normal from what I can see. I'll let it idle for a few minutes and just make sure. Then close the hood and get it down off the ramps. All right. So our initial testing is good. No codes or anything like that, no leaks or anything that I can hear. I suggest you do the same once you get everything tightened down, double checked. Start your truck up, let it idle for 5 or so minutes. Having the negative side of the battery disconnected for a while. There's a couple of things like your transmission has to relearn the shift points and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. The first little bit that you're driving it might be kind of wonky, but we're just going to take it for a quick little test run, make sure everything's good, and then we'll inspect when we get back under the hood and back underneath, make sure we don't have any leaks or anything like that. So you can definitely hear the turbos more, which is cool, and the sound of the blow-off valve is pretty cool. Keep testing to make sure we don't get any boost leaks, but so far so good. I think that we are good. Just did a little 0 to 60 launch to see how it would hold up. No issues. Okay, so our testing is complete. We did end up having a boost leak on the cold side piping where that factory spring clip is at, so make sure when you're installing it that is seated really well. It just popped off and we popped it back in there, got it seated right. So I wanted to point out the removal and install sequence. So for removal, you start with that Y pipe, get that out of your way, gives you a lot more room. Then remove the cold pipe. Next, the passenger side hot pipe. Then the driver's side hot pipe. And then if you're doing the intercooler and or the blow-off valve at the same time, drop the intercooler out at that point. If you're doing the intercooler and or the blow-off valve at the same time, next step is to drop those down out of your way, install the blow-off valve onto the new intercooler. You can put your couplers on too at this point, but I found it was easier to have more room to get that thing up in there. And then for PowerBoost, you gotta remove the pedestrian speaker and the mounting bracket for the speaker too, to give yourself enough room. So then for the install sequence, I installed the driver's side hot pipe and the passenger side hot pipe with the intercooler out. Gave a little bit more room to fish those things down in there. And then I installed the intercooler, and then lastly the cold side pipe. And then just go through all of your different connections and make sure everything is good and tight. Put the Y pipe back on and install the sensors, and you should be good to go. So some of the benefits of these installs that we did are for the CVF piping kit. Those are all mandrel bent aluminum tubing. It allows for smoother airflow. increases airflow over OEM, 3.5 to 3 inches on the cold side and 2.5 inches on the hot side. Mandrel bends allow for smooth airflow, and the ultra resistant fibers on the silicone couplers offer enhanced tolerance against heat and pressure. With the Titan V2 Intercooler, CVF claims a 40+ degree reduction in charge air temperature observed in real-world conditions, along with over 82% greater core volume than the OEM intercooler. They also put a condensation drain under the cold side, which is really nice, convenient, keeps you from having to drill a hole like a lot of people do on the OEM. For the blow-off valve, the Turbosmart blow-off valve, I'm not really sure of any performance enhancements per se, but it does add the psh blow-off valve sound when it vents to atmosphere, which is really cool. Great kind of a trade-off when comparing buying an EcoBoost to the V8. You lose the rumble of a V8, but you can have some cool turbo sounds. There are some claims online of slightly providing more consistent boost levels and improving throttle response, but there's also claims that it'll actually cause you to spool turbos slightly slower with the blow-off valve. So take that for what it's worth. I think it sounds really cool though, and it's worth it. I also wanted to mention, I'll put all the links for the products that we installed down in the description. Unfortunately, I don't have like discount codes or anything like that for those websites yet, but if you enjoyed the video, definitely give me a like and a subscribe. I'd really appreciate it and help the channel out, and hopefully get some discount codes for future stuff. That's gonna do it for this video. So let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them in the comments. Other than that, until next time.